Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are excited to be here tonight. Little bit of a late start, but we're here nonetheless. I'm excited to talk Ravens. A lot of folks had a lot of opinions about the Dolphins, the tough Dolphins loss. And I think we got some answers in the past few days, some stuff to talk about, and some updates and things. So I think the way this show is going to go is we're going to start out talking some injuries. We're going to talk about some potential acquisitions the Baltimore Ravens could be making. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some clarity we got as far as the game and what Coach saw after he watched the tape, give our opinion on some things, and answer all your guys' questions. So, Glenn, let's start with some injury updates. Let's start with the bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to do, too, is just make sure maybe we'll just kind of try and move on from last week and look forward, because that was certainly something that I don't think any of us are going to be able to forget for a long time, but maybe we can start to move on from it. What's going on, Yolanda? What's going on, Dawson? Hey, Connor, Mucho Mango. Appreciate you coming out. Sean, Lindsay, what's going on, everybody? Hey, Adam. Yeah, let's get into it. So we got some injury clarification from Harbs over this last couple days here.
Yep.
He let us know some bad news. So one of the big one is Steven Means. We saw him leave the game. Not good news. He tore his Achilles. The other Achilles. He tore his other one a few years back. And so now he tore the other one. So he's gone for the season. No more Steven Means. And of course, the Ravens were incredibly thin at the outside linebacker position, even when he was here. So now you lose a veteran in the room who's not just a one-trick pony, a guy that can participate against the pass and the rush and do so at least at an adequate level. He's gone. And then also, Jimbo, I'm still trying to understand exactly what happened and when this happened, but your guy, Josh Ross, inside linebacker, also put on the IR with an apparent foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when this happened. Any clarification on when this injury took place?
No, it was weird, right? Because I didn't see anything. It wasn't talked about on the during the game on the broadcast, and it just kind of popped up. So it was a sad one for me for sure, and I'm sure for him as well. But at the very least, I think at least he solidified himself as a NFL player, right? Like as a guy that can hang in the league, and I think that'll give him a great opportunity moving forward to contribute in the coming year and have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, shout out Bob Reed in the chat. Jimmy, he says your hair is just okay this evening. Got to step it up. Just saying. Shout out. Let's go O's. Absolutely.
Wait, what's wrong with the? Okay, so I got to tell you something. Why my hair is the way it is.
All right,
so
full disclosure.
Yeah. So guess what? Today I have a son who's going to be 1 in 3 days. Today was his first swimming class, and
How'd it go?
It was awesome.
Did you get in?
Oh, I was in the water. Heck yeah. He liked it a lot more than I thought he was going to like it.
Nice.
I mean, he was clinging to me like with death grip at first, but then after a while he got used to it. But, I did like the shower at the pool and that when you get out and things like that. And this is kind of the result of that. So, sorry, my hair game isn't all.
You said a pool, so you didn't just take him out to the harbor?
Yeah, no, I was skipping that one. He's got to build up to it. You know what I mean?
At least his immune system.
That's right. Got to get the immunity up a little bit. Once he's 2 and his immune system is fully developed, I'm chucking him right in.
There you go. Just put him right in there. But yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing end for Josh Ross. At least, I guess he's eligible for. Do we know whether or not he was put on just the season ender, or is he eligible at some point to return if need be, if he gets healthy?
Yeah, his season's over.
Okay. So this is the ender. So it must have happened during one of the 18 plays he got in as a special teamer. Is the only thing I can gather is that, so it's disappointing, but was a bit of good news on the injury front. It looks like they're expecting, or Harbaugh is expecting to get Jeremy Stevens, back on the field. And that's going to be a big time addition because the corners,
Brandon Stevens. Jeremy Stevens?
Brandon Stevens, sorry.
I was like, wait, who's he talking about?
I was in the sun all day today. I went fishing, and I think that sunlight's taking a beating on me. But Brandon Stevens will apparently be back this week because, man, they need help on that back end. These young guys, which we're going to get into, Looks like the communication issues were John Harbaugh didn't call out individual players, but he made it clear that youth was the issue on the back end. So, man, even though Brandon Stevens isn't necessarily a veteran, he's at least in his second year, and hopefully some of those communication issues will be resolved.
Yeah, and we're gonna dig into that here in a little bit. But you're right. I mean, that's gonna be a key guy, especially with a guy like Marlowe, where we don't. While John has said that it doesn't seem to be serious his injury, we don't really know what's all that's going on there. So having a guy like that, you go from Marlon Humphrey, best of the best. No offense, but you go down to like Pepe Williams or even Armour Davis, right? Like at least Brandon Stevens is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this point in their careers, right? Like who knows what those guys will become, but that's definitely a big one. Now let's talk about the visits that the Baltimore Ravens have been taking, because this is the one thing I got to give Eric DeCosta credit for. And I don't follow other teams as closely as the Ravens. I'll admit that. I'm sure you guys are just the same, or else you might not be here, enjoying the show with us. But Eric, and the Ravens, I think, do a really good job at doing everything they can to turn over every leaf, right? Like, so they went out and they obviously had previous conversations with JPP. And what I've heard is that it sounds like this is pretty much a done deal because it's a second visit. They've already, they've already hung out with each other, gotten to know each other, sniffed each other's backsides, and now they like each other. They're playing in the dog park, just down to numbers, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And,
hopefully.
And so, but you just never know. So that's one that I'm excited to talk about. But the other one that you mentioned earlier is Blake Martinez, who's an inside linebacker. So let's start with JPP, Glenn. What's your take on them bringing him in, and how hopeful are you that he can actually make an impact?
Yeah, everything looks like he's going to be on his way. It looks like the interest is mutual, but he did throw in at the very end when I think he was talking to Josina Anderson that there has been multiple teams that have reached out. So, he's leaving that door open, but it just certainly seems
is
like
that his way of saying, give me a little more money, Baltimore?
Could be. And the Ravens are pretty desperate. I mean, there's no way they can hide their hand or have a poker face when they have two outside linebackers currently on the roster and then one more on the practice squad with Jeremiah Moon. So it's not like you can go, well, we don't really need you, JPP. It's pretty clear that they're desperate to add someone there. If it's not him, it's going to be somebody else, because they also released the outside linebacker Kyler Fackrell that they signed to the practice squad last week. So they have three total in this organization, one of which is on the practice squad, and the other two being Owe and Houston. And do you really want to put this type of burden early in the season on Justin Houston and then maybe not have anything left at the end of the season? So I think Jason Pierre-Paul would be an excellent addition, if nothing else, just to bridge the gap until Tyus Bowser and Ajabo are back and healthy and ready to go, because they just don't have anybody out there. And so, is he a guy that I expect to be like a game changer? I don't think JPP is at that, at this point in his career, that type of player, but man, he'd be an upgrade from, what would be the other options? It'd be some other street free agent or a practice squatter off another team's roster. So yeah, let's bring him in. Let's get him. But also, we talked about Means being gone, but also Josh Ross is gone. So they brought in inside linebacker Blake Martinez, who really became and got his fame when he was with the Green Bay Packers, was an absolute tackling machine, got a bunch of money when he signed with the New York Giants, and it never really worked out for him there. At least it didn't.
Was he
seem
playing
like
next to Hawk? Were they together? AJ and Martinez?
I think so. Man, I don't know. I don't think he's been around that long. I think Hawk's been
out of the league for a while.
Yeah, we're just getting old, Jimmy. I think that's just
feels
bottom line. But he's had a bunch of ridiculous tackle, accumulating seasons. His first year with the Giants, he had 151 total tackles, 86 of them solo. But last year is when it kind of hit a speed bump. He had a lot of injuries. He only played in 3 games, only had 23 tackles. But if he's healthy, bona fide tackling machine. But my question back to you, Jimbo, is this solely a response to the Josh Ross injury addition, possibly? Because I think we can kind of see JPP. We're desperate there. But I thought Queen's been playing well. And so is this just a response to Josh Ross going out, or is this maybe an indictment on some of the other guys in the room?
Yeah, I think it is an indictment. I think the way you can take a look at this, if you look at the snap count in the past 2 games, certainly in the first game, in both games, you don't even have to look at the snap counts. You can see Malik Harrison on the field a lot more. That means that Josh Bynes isn't on the field. And then you see the snap count breakdown. You see that, I think in the first one, it was like 50, 55, 45 or something like that, but it was almost split between those two. And so I think that, the Ravens aren't as happy with where Josh Bynes is in comparison to where he was last year. So, like I said, they want to turn over every leaf and give themselves every opportunity to get better. And I think that has a lot to do with it. At least that's what comes to mind for me. I thought Malik Harrison, he's popped off the screen and had some moments, for sure. I don't know if consistency is his game right now, but certainly he's had some moments where honestly, Josh Bynes been invisible to me.
Well, I kind of wish he would have had a little bit more work at the outside spot during the
Malik,
training
you're talking
camp.
about?
Yeah, because this position's been light and kind of, it's been our most worrisome position group. The outside linebacker position has been worrisome from the beginning of the offseason to now. So I just wish they would have given him a little more run there. But, who knows what the thought process was there. But, yeah, I think that definitely they're not getting what they expected from Josh Bynes, and he's getting older.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just time to maybe it's just time to look at other options and see
Yeah,
if
like you said, we could be overreacting. It could be simply to the Josh Ross thing, right? Like,
absolutely.
So Sean Pisker says, "Evening, boys. Evening, Sean. Took a few days, but I'm starting to recover from the game. I think that the bright spots to note are 1, Lamar played fantastic. 2, Bateman is starting to look like a number 1, and Williams is arguably the best free agent pickup since Bolden, in my opinion." So let's kind of sidebar real quick and talk about this.
Let's talk about it.
Look, Sean, you paid for it. You're going to get the airtime, my man. So I agree. Lamar Jackson played absolutely fantastic. And to back that up, I have some pretty cool stats here. Lamar Jackson right now is first in the NFL in touchdown percentage, yards per completion, net yards gained per attempt, number 2 in yards per attempt, number 3 in passer rating, and number 4 in QBR.
Those are some pretty daggone good numbers, but I'll do you one even better here, Jimbo.
Okay.
Heading into that game, everything was about the blitz, the cover zero. Can they handle the Miami defense? And Lamar Jackson was blitzed 17 times by those Miami Dolphins, and his numbers in those 17 blitzes were 13 of 16 for 213 yards and 2 tutties, 13 yards per attempt.
And didn't he have a perfect passer rating while being blitzed as well? I believe so.
I believe he did. And he had a perfect passer rating until the very end of the game where he barely and narrowly lost out on it. But yeah, so not only was he, just good overall, he was good at the one thing that really gave the Ravens offense fits last season. So shout out to him. And then jump into Bateman. Yeah, Bateman so far, 2 touchdowns, 200-yard performances. No doubt the guy has been, a difference maker and he's stepped up. But also what's exciting is that, we were worried with it when Hollywood left. Was there enough big-time speed on this team to still challenge defenses down the field and back them off the line of scrimmage? Well, he hit 21.5 miles an hour on that 75-yard touchdown run. And Devin Duvernay's hit 21.6 on his kick return. Apparently, this is the 2 fastest NFL plays of the season in the whole league. Yeah, so speed's still there.
Yeah, Hollywood Schmollywood.
And Marcus Williams, what more can you say about him, right, Jimbo?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to mention really quickly on Bateman, though. He's played really well. Look, Bateman is my kind of guy. He doesn't seem to be a me guy. He seems to be the antithesis of that. And we've heard from the Minnesota guys themselves that, the row your boat mantra for the Minnesota Gophers, he really embodies that and just being a part of the team and doing his job. And so I'm loving Bateman and how him and Lamar are playing well together. Because look, at the end of the day, the more that Bateman becomes a bona fide weapon, the more that Duvernay develops himself, the more it's going to benefit Mark, the more it's going to benefit Likely, the more it's going to benefit the running game. Like, all these things play with one another. You know what I mean? So it's just going to make us multiple and more difficult to defend. It's man, then JK and Gus back.
Yeah. Can't
It's
wait.
gonna be exciting. So, but yes, Williams, I almost wore my University of Utah hoodie tonight, in honor of Marcus Williams, because he is about the only secondary player that's making plays right now, and an
Well, you
incredible.
got to give a shout out to Marlon.
Yeah, fair
Marlon was
enough.
in there that they played Jimbo.
Fair
And I
enough.
think all
But
4 touchdowns were when he was gone.
yeah, that's a problem. But at the end of the day, I would agree with Sean 100%. I'm so happy with Marcus Williams so far, and glad he's a Raven.
Yeah, no doubt. He is more than anyone could have ever hoped he
Mm-hmm.
would be. And he's been so close to making even more plays than he already has. So the dude has been nothing short of impressive. All right. So I want to get into some of Harbaugh's comments
Yeah, let's do it.
in talking, he talked about the miscommunications. He made it very clear that the young guys were a big part of those miscommunications, and that they have to be better. But also, mentioned that there was a couple plays that Marcus Peters, wanted to have back in his first game action in quite some time. So when you look at the secondary, Jimbo, is this something where there's optimism because of what Harbaugh said, and that a lot of it was just mental errors, and that maybe if they clean that up, then everything goes? Because the first 3 quarters of this ball game, I thought they were doing a really good job of kind of keeping the reins on. There was the one long play to Waddle early, but that's it. What's your thoughts going into the rest of this season with this secondary?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that we've paid a ton of money to the secondary, and on paper we should be a lot better than we played. So, I think as health continues to improve, if it does, we won't be so reliant on the outside on the young guys. It'll really be about being reliant on Kyle, who apparently gave up 1.5 to 2.5 touchdowns, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, so at the end of the day, this is how I'm choosing to look at it. I'm choosing to look at it. We've all been in these scenarios, Glenn. You know what? Actually, I think you have a good story about me being in a similar scenario on a lot lesser scale, but we've all had those moments where we got caught doing something and you're like, I'm never doing this again. This was so stupid.
I can't believe I did it. Yeah.
Right. Like, what on earth did I just do? Right. Like, so I think that Kyle experiencing that now instead of experiencing that later in the season or potentially in the playoffs is fine with me. So if I had to trade those moments, I would rather have it week 2. So that's how I'm choosing to look at it, because I seriously doubt when you get caught like that, proverbially with your pants down a couple times, you ain't letting it happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not, because
I'm choosing optimism.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to be right there with you, because I got to imagine that the first 3 quarters are hopefully more of what we're going to see from this defense than the last quarter. But if you start accumulating injuries, I'd love to hear somebody kind of ask Harbaugh, even though he probably wouldn't answer, some more clarity on what happened to Marlon Humphrey. Is this a reoccurrence of the groin injury he was limping through practice with all week, or is this a different injury, a separate injury that now we have to, keep an eye on that? Because when he went out, there was, I think, 15 plays he missed, and all 4 of the touchdowns were scored during those times. If I remember reading correctly, that is unbelievable. So, Marcus Williams is getting all the headlines, but I think Marlon Humphrey was certainly balling on the back end of that defense. And when he was gone, it was bad news bears. So they got to clean it up, but they also got to stay healthy. And we need Marlon out there, in a bad way. So, it's scary. But also, I also wanted to talk about these running backs a little bit here, Jimbo, because
what running backs? Do
exactly.
we have any?
No, it doesn't seem like we do, because every one of these running backs have been a complete and total disaster. But I don't think all of them deserve blame. I think there's been a couple plays where the offensive line has just been dreadful. I was watching some tape, and it was everyone, Jimbo. That's the disturbing part about it. I saw Morgan Moses have a couple of olays where he just got absolutely just swim move right by him.
I swear. Did you see a couple plays where he's just on his stomach?
Yeah, because they'll swim move him, and he's overextending, and it's just like it's like they pulled the jersey over his head and just dump him on his face.
He looks like a beached seal.
It's not good. And then Patrick McCary, the same thing. I saw him get the same move where they just Swim move right by him. He's on his belly looking up. And then Patrick Ricard is like, geez, this guy's in my face. I'm not expecting to make contact with a guard right here. I'm expecting to try and get to the next level and take on a linebacker, but then he has to reshovel. So the offensive line as a group has just got to be better. I will say, I thought Tyler Linderbaum showed, some real promise. I think he's gotten better. He got better from week 1 to week 2. He was in there taking on a monster 6'7" Roquan Smith and battling with him. I thought he played well.
And then did you also see, if you watch some subtleties, Tyler showed command too. That was one of the things that was encouraging for me, that I was going to mention the post-game show, because before I got really mad about the fact that we lost, is that there were some communication things that he was handling really well, that I was impressed with as well. So anyway, just as an aside, I'm encouraged with him.
Yeah, they've got to get better as a group. It's just got to be. I mean, Morgan Moses, I know this is his first year in this offense, but he's been around the league for an awful long time. I was disappointed to see him in some plays. Now, he also made some really nice blocks too, so I don't want to totally bag on the guy, but I was just disappointed. I expect it from some of the other guys, but not as much from him.
Right.
So that the offensive line's got to be better, or the running backs have virtually no chance. But there were also a couple plays where the running backs did have some open opportunities, specifically Justice Hill, who we've been on here hyping up. But after the tape comes out, and it's not just the broadcast view, that long run of, I think, 13 yards looked like it could have had the potential for being the house call at 60 yards. I don't know what he saw there.
That was the classic scenario of overthinking.
I guess so. It was too much space. Dude. It was just, he was too open.
He didn't know what to do. Right. That's how, what I mean? It's like one of those moments where you pass the ball, you get past the ball, and you're so open that you just hesitate, and you miss the wide open jumper. It's like, dude, just see grass, run towards grass. Like, not rocket science, dude.
And the frustrating thing is, he's clearly the back, in my opinion, that's showing the most burst out of all of them.
John even talked about that.
Right. He's running with strength. He's running with power. But the problem is, if you have no vision as a running back, which at least on that play it was lacking, then you're no good. It doesn't matter. It's like, who was that? It got drafted like number 4 overall to the Browns. He ended up going to the Colts for Trent Richardson.
You saw Trent Richardson. He played here.
He had everything you would want as a running back, except for no vision. Had horrible vision. Yeah. And that's why he's out of the league, despite all those ridiculous measurables that he did have that caused him to get picked in the top 5. So it's the run game is a collective failure for everyone. Everyone is having their share. The tight ends had their share of boofs. I mean, everyone across the has blame, except for really Lamar Jackson, who he did his part. He should have opened it up with that run. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Jeez, I wonder what miles per hour he got to.
Yeah, that's true. I would have liked to see that. I didn't see the numbers on his mile per hour, but it had to be pretty high since he outran everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have some other thoughts on that game, but I like your idea of moving forward. I mean, at this point, to encapsulate my thoughts on the Miami game, I'm like I said, I'm choosing positivity here. I'm looking forward to moving on. Okay. And really what I'm focused on is how we respond, right? Like, how do we respond as a team? How are we going to turn around and what is it that we need to do to respond as a team? But before I get to that, I got to get to the most important thing here, Glenn. This is the real question, the most important question of the night. Who wins in a fight, Rex Ryan or John Harbaugh?
Oh, come on.
Who wins?
It's John. It's John.
Is it John?
Because of the fact that he's in way better physical condition. I think that if this is a fight that takes place, dude, I just saw a clip, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it, it's insane. There's like ultimate fighting, like UFC, inside a phone booth where and it's like got referees. It was on TV. I saw this clip floating around social media. They have their backs turned. They turn. They're in a phone booth, and they just start going at it in a phone booth. If that was the fight, then I'm taking Rex because there's nowhere for John to go. But if there's a little bit of moving room, I got to admit, see, Sean's seen it. Sean saw it. I mean, it's insane, dude. If you haven't seen it, Jimbo, it's insane. They're literally in a glassed-in phone booth. Just
Jeez Whiz.
It's crazy. But yeah, so I think I would take Rex Ryan in that situation.
And the other thing I got to mention here, and now that it's about the middle of the show, is one of the things that we put a message out in our Patreon account for everyone to get their questions, and everyone that is in the second tier and above as a patron of the show, we're doing exclusive videos once a month for our patrons. It's a ask us anything scenario. Obviously, most of it will be about the Ravens, but you can ask us literally anything. So go check it out. Today is the deadline to get your questions in for September's video. So go check it out. Of course, you can also the $1 a month and get DK's articles, get a shout out in every show and things like that as well. But just wanted to shout that out as well.
No doubt. Absolutely. But I got to ask you something, Jimbo. We talk about moving forward.
Yep.
Moving forward, to me, they got to figure out what's going on. Hang on. Let's actually let's.
Oh yeah.
Sean says, "What do you guys think of Duvernay being used like Deebo Samuel at running back due to our run game being so bad?" That's a genius idea, Sean.
Anything.
I love it. Why not? I mean, he's got burst, he's got explosion, he's not fearful of contact, and that's why he's so great as a return man. Why not put him back there? I guess the only worry is overuse at this point.
Right. We already know that his childhood and natural is what I'll say, natural or default position is running back. Like he's a converted wide receiver, right? Like, so he's, like you said, no fear of the physicality, obviously has incredible vision. So yeah, I would agree with it 100%. And I guess, I don't know if I would say, using him in a Deebo Samuel type scenario, I like. And then also using him, I know that we got tired of this last year because the only situations in which they were using him, but to stretch the field, like, thin them out like horizontally, those jet sweeps and things like that are great. Anything to throw the opposing defense off and to move the chains in the running game, I'm down with, because we need momentum there.
Yeah, we need deception. We need something. We need something to help this O-line and these running backs because it's a disaster right now. But I wanted to get on to a different topic. I think if we want to move on, if the Ravens want to move on, I think they got to figure out what they're going to do with Nick Boyle. Ronald said it just now. What is the plan with Nick Boyle? Is the plan to just keep letting him practice and hide him because you can't cut him because his cap hit is the same whether he's playing for you or sitting at home? Or is this truly, because if he's practicing every week, he's not on the injury report. It can't. Why are we still calling it an injury? If he is injured, then why is he not on the injury report? I don't understand. And then you got Josh Oliver, who's in there assumingly because of his athleticism, yet he gets no targets, gets no attention. The run game is struggling. Nick Boyle's supposed to be one of the best blocking tight ends in all of football and would certainly help in that regard, especially when you look at what these tight ends are doing in the run game. Why have we not seen Nick Boyle yet, Jimbo?
Yeah, it's an odd one for me. I honestly thought it was health. And then look, this is what I love about Twitter. I really don't like social media, but Twitter brings things to life. I firmly believe that John was asked about Nick Boyle on the podium because of his wife's tweet. His wife's tweet simply stating that, her tweet is an admission that he's healthy.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not the reason where the Ravens hid under that cloak for a while and said, hey, he's not healthy. So it's got to be something else. If it ain't health, right, he's just not getting the job done anymore. So, I don't know what you do here, but I also think that Nick plays this week. I think he gets a shot to see how he can contribute in the run game, because just like we talked about before, anything to jumpstart the run game. Not that he's gonna, turn us into the premier run game team we were in 2019, but he certainly can be a contributor. And just for those that are asking, she basically commented on a tweet of an image of a guy like doing one of these like really faces. And it said, when the Ravens don't play Nick Boyle and can't run the ball for 2 weeks in a row. And she said, I wish I could retweet this. So,
which is worse.
Yeah. You're commenting on it. Why'd y'all just retweet? Like,
he probably got home and was like, really?
Yeah, you're going to be passive aggressive like that?
Really?
Like,
better off I have to answer these questions. You don't. I do.
Right.
Yeah,
he just brings her into the media. It just allows her to
like, go ahead, ask her. I didn't do it. Yeah. That'd be hilarious. But no, I mean, they got to do something.
Yeah.
To ignite this run game. And if Nick Boyle's the answer, I'd be willing to at least try it. If not, like, if he's not the answer, then maybe they should try and put Ricard more at the traditional tight end locations and maybe consider having 2 running backs in the backfield. Mike Davis is one, and one of the other guys the other. I don't know. Maybe even bring Bench Mason up off. I don't know what their plans are, but they got to do something to try and ignite this game.
Let me tell you this, Glenn. Okay.
Yeah.
There is no way. I would bet a lot of money on this. There's no way that with the adequate and above average passing attack that we have, that the guy I believe to be the best, one of the best, probably top 3 producers of a run game in Greg Roman in the modern day NFL.
Yep.
There's no way he doesn't get this done. There's no excuses. This pass game is legitimate. It's enough to keep the defense honest, where we can have even numbers in the box. It's not it's not just a numbers game where we're losing and they just load the box. There's enough to keep them honest. We got a 3-point shot now. And so I believe Greg Roman gets the job done. Through hook or crook, we will produce a running game, because this is what he does in his sleep. He'll get it done.
And you know what's tough though when you watch the run game, especially when you watch the all 22 film of it. It just shows you how it's such a team game. Like it's everybody, it's such a unit, has to move as one. Yeah. One chink in that armor is weak, and it just it ruins everything. I mean, and it's amazing how every guy was taking their turn being the guy that lost. It wasn't like a consistent guy. Well, because if it was Powers every time, you go, Powers is the guy. He's the one who's ruining it all. Then you could think about bringing in a different, but it was like Moses on this play. Then it was McCary on the next play. Then it was Powers on the next one. Then it was the tight ends blowing on the next one. It was everyone taking their turn. And so, man, it's just they got to get this. They got to get themselves on the right page, because the Patriots are coming. And while I don't necessarily buy into their offense as an offense that like puts a lot of fear in my heart, I think their defense is still legit. It's very, very real. And I think Matt Judon's is certainly going to have some extra motivation taking on his former team.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be interesting. And like you said, look, Coach Belichick, who I know you believe is a fraud, knows how to take away your strengths.
Yeah.
He does a really good job at that. So I'm interested to see how this game turns out. But yeah, Greg Roman gets the job done, Glenn. I mean, come on, we got to have, I think at the end of the day, us as a fan base of the Baltimore Ravens, we got to have some faith that you don't have to have confidence in Greg Roman to draw up a complicated passing scheme. But look, the guy can produce a run game, right? He'll get it done. I mean, I feel good about that.
My worry is
the execution
Jimbo,
of it.
I don't think it's the design.
And it's so crazy, just like you said, how like all these guys are moving in unison, and then if his vision and his mind, like if he's not seeing what the guys in front of him are seeing, or if he doesn't have the patience to wait around, and like it's crazy. But he's the ultimate conductor of the run game. As I drop my pen, he'll get it done. Don't worry, he'll get it done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if he doesn't, and faced with another 4th and short, I might be rooting for JT, and I'm always the proponent of let's go for it. Let's be aggressive. Let's bet on our players, especially when one of them is Lamar. But I might start calling for JT to come off the sideline too. And yeah, we'll see if that scenario plays itself out this weekend.
Yeah.
But all right, so I got to ask you about this. Odafe Oweh, I've been critical of him on here. He has yet to make much of an impact from a sack perspective or really even any pressures. Now, I know that, when the film comes out, again, people, you get a better chance, you get a different look at it. And I understand that the opposing offense is certainly double team him. They're trying to run away from him. And he has had some moments where he's had some tackles for loss in the run game and things like that. But I need to still see more of him in the passing game. I just have to. I see so many people giving him a pass, saying, well, how many of his pass sets were play action? How many were play action, or how many were boots? How many were this? A lot of excuses are being given for Odafe Oweh. I got to imagine that Von Miller is game planned against. I got to imagine that TJ Watt is game planned against. Chandler Jones is game planned against. I got to imagine that who's the other guy out in Raiderland? Max Crosby is
I mean, there's
Khalil Mack, Bosa. Yeah. They're all game plan against, and they get the job done anyway, Jimbo. Yeah. Do they not?
Yeah. I mean, it's what the great ones do, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the game plan is. I'm better than you. I figure out how to get it done, and I get it done, whether that's the choking drill or whether that's, I don't know, what you got to do to figure this out, how to take on double teams. But man, I in our group chat, I was talking about last night, Von Miller is an ageless wonder.
Dude, his dip.
Oh my gosh. It
He
is
can still bend that edge, baby.
Dude, it is ridiculous. And you know what's crazy to me? He uses every single thing that you would consider a disadvantage physically for him. Because if you look at him and you look at Terrell Suggs, they're not the same. They're not built the same, right? But Vaughn uses, he's so fast.
Mm-hmm.
He's so explosive. And like you said, because he's not the tallest dude in the world on the edge, he makes those tall guys pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they go they go to extend out and they start falling over because they're missing him. He's up under him. Like you said, he bends and then pops right up and gets his hands on the full. Like, Adafe, whatever it is you need to do, just be Von Miller. We're not asking for too much. No,
Yeah.
until he.
So should be Khalil Mack.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm trying to say though is that you got to get it done. If Von's been doing it for his whole career for a long time, and I don't know. I think there's got to be more than just that excuse, right?
Yeah, they exactly, and everyone's saying it. Like, give him a break. Okay, all right, I'll try.
You remember the wow, Glenn. You remember that if things don't work out.
Yep.
But I'm on the Adafe hype train, so I think he'll do well. The other thing too, I wanted to go back to the run game for a second because I didn't see this. I must have missed it. Where John said, shout out to Jeff Zrebeck. This is a tweet, but apparently he said that John was reported saying there were missed blocks in some short yardage situations, but also said the team can't just run into the teeth of the defense either. Being more creative and doing some different things in short yardage is a need. So kind of
you keep beating your head against the wall when you're not going anywhere, and then you see on that one play action where Mark Andrews is wide open for the touchdown catch, and next to him is Pat Ricard. And so, maybe we need to be a little more aggressive and put the ball in Lamar's hands. Certainly hated the under center QB sneak call for Lamar Jackson. In fact, I had a bunch of numbers that I saw that, pretty much show that it's let's see, touchdown percentage on run plays from the 1 yard line since 2017 from shotgun have an 8% higher success rate than they do with no shotgun. So in my opinion, you let Lamar have a little space.
I want to talk about that because I don't know if you saw, I'm assuming you did, the touchdown where last night where Josh Allen threw to Diggs, he threw across his body. It was kind of an impromptu. What'd you say?
Was Diggs coming back for the ball?
Yeah. He was kind of in the back of the end zone. He started working towards the ball, but he was wide open, right?
Wide open.
It was a lot of improvisation there.
Yep.
Improvisation there. Yeah. So all I'm saying is that I liked that play because he was in shotgun. He had space. He rolled out to his left. He had the initial read was to, I think it was McKenzie. Was on his left. Yep. Yeah, it was on his left there. And that was the initial read. It didn't work out. The defense picked it up. So Josh said, all right, I got a moment. I'm back here. Let me gather myself. I can move around to avoid some guys if I have to. And he found Diggs and made a throw that defender in his mind thinks, this throw can't be made, so I'm not even going to guard that guy. He made that throw. The touchdown was an easy one. All I'm saying is that putting Lamar in those option situations, I don't know the verbiage for it, but situations where he has a read. If it doesn't work out, all right, well, then he's in space because you've already rolled him out, right? Exactly. Like, why can't we do stuff just like you're talking about? Why can't we do that in a short yardage scenario? This isn't Lamar in 2018. This isn't Lamar in 2019. We've got to put more on his plate in that situation. Let him make a decision.
And more stress on the defense.
That's what it's about at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, instead of just trying to bat, and I get it that in years past, that's been a good strategy because we had such a monster offensive line that just mashed people. But this year they're not doing it. When they try and come off the ball and fire into the chest, they're getting Olayed to their face, and then boom, there's a defender behind the line of scrimmage. So I think that they gotta do whatever it takes to stretch the team horizontally, certainly in the red zone, and when you're down inside the 5, and Lamar Jackson's the best at doing that. I just saw Kyler Murray scrambling around the back of his behind the line of scrimmage. Looks like a little kid running away
Doesn't it
with his
always look
parents'
like
phone.
Jerry? Isn't it Jerry the mouse and Tom and Jerry?
Yeah, just and then what does he do? He ends up, after doing all that, just running in for an easy
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
touchdown.
you're exactly right, because if Lamar rolls out in space, the defense got to worry about three things: him throwing it all over the field, him giving it to if it's an RPO type scenario, him giving it to a back, or him running himself.
Yep. It's
Like
too
there's
much.
it's too much to worry about. It's too fast. It all happens in your face. It's too late. We already scored. So I agree with you 100%. I'm not a fan of the under center stuff. Give him choices. Make the defense stress him out for sure. I like that.
And I saw the Cardinals, in fact, taking a delay of game in that scenario, and they acted as if they almost it looked like they were like it was planned to take that delay of game to give them a little bit more space to work with, which is normally something you wouldn't do. So yeah, but again, this is not the offense's issue, even though they did have plenty of moments to put that game away on 4th and short. This was clearly a defensive breakdown, but you got to be critical anywhere you can, because the Ravens want to get better and get back in the win column. But I tell you what, Jimbo, I am feeling. I mean, I'm feeling okay. After I'm putting that game behind me, I admittedly didn't watch a lot of recap the following Monday morning because I didn't want to hear about how historic of a collapse this was. But I think that the Ravens are in for a bounce back, and we certainly have a ton to talk about on Thursday when we start to preview the game. But I think the Ravens are going to bounce back in this next week.
100%, man. I agree with you there. And I mean, historically, this is what we do. So the last thing I want to talk about that I have on my slate of things to talk about is there any, dude, I swear to you, sometimes word travels fast, right? And one of the things that was my thoughts was, as I was watching the end of that game, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, was in moments past, even if our defense was going through a tough stretch for an entire quarter, right? The guys like a Ray or a Suggs or a Nada or a Reed or go down the list, they make those big plays, right? Even if they're getting beat up a whole quarter, they make the stop, right? It didn't happen in this game. And then Rex talks about it. He almost, I swear it was like he heard what I was saying, because you do hearken back to those days where I was almost in shock watching TV that the game ended the way it did, because all the way up until the last moment, I thought, we're going to make the stop. We need to make the stop, because that's what we do here in Baltimore, right? Like when we need to get the stop, we get the stop. So are you concerned in the long run that we're not going to be able to get the stops when we need the stops? You know what I mean? Does that concern you at all?
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely it does.
Or do you just say it's just a mental thing and we'll learn from it?
Well, that's what I tell myself when I want to feel better.
Yeah, when you got to go to sleep at night, you don't want to keep thinking about the Ravens, right?
Yeah, but I mean, obviously it's something to worry about when you're coming off a game where you give up 6 touchdowns, 28 points in the 4th quarter, and you're letting guys run butt naked down the sideline for 80-yard bombs. I think it's scary. And it's also scary when you look at the the accumulating injuries at the outside linebacker position. If you can't rush the passer, it doesn't matter, as we can see, how big your lead is. If you can't disrupt the passer, there's always the opportunity for a comeback, especially if they have explosive skill position talent like the Dolphins do. So they've got to be better at closing games out. Now, I will say a lot of their history, of recent history, when we saw the collapses, I don't know how much you can really kind of gauge or see what's going to happen in the future, because Mike McDonald's the DC here. So all we can really look at is these last 2 games. And boy, that last one really does not look good. But let's just hope that this is just some serious growing pains for half of a quarter, and blame it and chalk it up to that. But that's the only thing I can say, because I'm nervous, Jimbo, because the offense could not have played a whole lot better outside of maybe 2 to 3 conversions is really all you can point at. The special teams was lights out, outside of the one kind of a short punt by Jordan Stout when it was a low snap. You get a kick return, you're supposed to win the game. You're playing disciplined enough to where you're not getting penalties that kill you.
No turnovers.
Outside of the fumble by Lamar on 4th down, it was recovered though. but technically a turnover on downs. There was a
Oh,
couple.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
There were a couple turnover on downs that they don't go in as fumbles or interceptions, but they are turnovers. But I gotta think your offense and special teams can't expect those two groups to play much better than they did. And so, man, the defense has got to get their crap together.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for the New England Patriots at the end of the day. Don't forget, guys, 2019, we started 2-2 and got blown out by the Browns. Hopefully,
good point, Tom.
Follows, same trajectory of the season for sure. That's why I was mentioning, like, historically, the Ravens always bounce back, right? Like,
very good point. That makes me feel better, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, the way I want to end the show is let's talk about the AFC North. Mm-hmm. First of all, shout out to Joe Flacco for getting it done. Dude.
Third in the league in passing yards. Hey, if I would have told you that Tua Tagovailoa would be leading the league in passing yards and Joe Flacco would be third after 2 weeks, you'd tell me I'm crazy.
Yeah, I just want to know where all the Zach Wilson fans are. Dude, they might be thinking about playing Joey the whole season, bro. I mean, he keeps slinging the rock
players
like that.
Rallying around Joe, dude. Hype for Joe.
I'm just saying, man. Like, look.
He gets it done.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, how about that draft pick I had for you, the last pick?
Yes, sir. You know, he's starting next week because
you were like, who's this Garrett Will?
Dude, the last time I saw him, he was torching the Utes, man.
This guy went bonkers. But yeah, shout out to Joe for beating the Browns once again. I mean, this is nothing new for Joe.
The Browns.
Yeah, it's nothing new. And then, of course, the Cowboys. They finally did something right. They knock off the Bengals. Bengals 0-2 after going to the Super Bowl last year. We knew this first place schedule would be harder, but they barely cracked into it, and they're already 0-2.
Hey,
I'm loving it.
And yeah, absolutely. You know, I know how you always crack on Belichick for being a fraud.
Yeah.
But I think Joey B might be a little bit of a false prophet. All right, I don't know.
That offensive line is. I mean, they talked about all this money they gave Lyle Collins. Lyle Collins shows up. They will not touch you. He's got sacked like 13 times in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, get out of here with that. Oh man,
and then the Steelers, of course, they're trash.
Yeah,
they're trash. I mean, without TJ Watt, the defense is average, and the offense is below.
They don't have a quarterback. It just is what it is, and I don't think they have a quarterback for a while because I don't think Kenny Pickett is any better than Mitchell Trubisky, or else he'd be starting, period.
And Mitchell Trubisky is garbage. Absolutely garbage. So that's the good news. Even though the Ravens had a historic meltdown, the rest of the AFC North followed suit and lost as well. So no lost ground in the AFC North. Did have a missed opportunity to really jump ahead and take sole possession of first place, but no ground loss. And let's hope that those teams continue to just flounder. I need the Browns to be out of it because they got a run game. And when Deshaun Watson comes back, they're going to have, at least once he gets the cobwebs off, they're going to have a pretty decent quarterback. So let's hope that they get into a nice hole before he's back.
Yeah, this is the last thing I want to say about Joe Flacco. His stat line on Sunday will be the best stat line of any Jets quarterback this year.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel really good about that.
I agree with you. I tend to agree. Hey, DK, my guy, with the fresh cut in the background, pops in. Appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We're hoping to get a guest for you guys.
Yeah, he just confirmed.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we got a guest. If you want to announce him, Jimbo.
Yes. Give me 1 second here, and I will. Mike David.
I think it's Diabate.
Oh, okay.
I like you see what I did there?
Yeah, Diabate. There you go. We had him on once before. Was it last year? I think it was last year.
I think it was last year. Yeah.
Really, really good interview. He's excellent. He works for he's a beat reporter for the Patriots and for
Country FN.
Country FN. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
And he's host of Locked On Patriots.
And he's the host of Locked On Patriots. So a lot of good stuff coming out. I'm looking forward to it. And he's a realist at the end of the day. Like, he's not going to
pick. You think I should ask him about Belichick and how I think he's a fraud?
Yeah, definitely do that. But he's definitely not going to. He's not going to be the type of guy that's going to pick his team to win with Mason Rudolph as quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, shots fired. Sean, I would love to have Ed Reed on this show. You know what? If Ed Reed was on this show, I don't know if I could contain myself. I would tell myself I'm going to try and be I'm going to pretend like a professional, and then I would be on here fangirling out, just embarrassing myself.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I would. Being honest, I definitely.
You know what's crazy, Glenn? Turn to the left, and turn to the other side, bro. You missed the spot with the sunscreen, bro.
Oh, dude.
You got but it's just on one side.
Because the sun was on this side.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have sunscreen on. I had a hat. That's
you
it.
See do you have the shades on?
I did. Oh, no. I had this shade line. No.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm excited for Thursday. I'm in a much better mood. Like I said before, check it out. Our Patreon account, of course. Today is the last day to submit your questions for our exclusive videos to our patrons. So go check it out. Looking forward to it. Other than that, the other thing I want to mention too, draft picks. I'm doing pretty good. I didn't triple my money last week. Or prize picks. I'm doing pretty good. I didn't triple my money because of stupid Najee Harris. How does he not get 50 yards?
Yeah, well, I think they stink. They stink, Jimbo. And Mitch Trubisky's your quarterback. There's certainly no fear of him throwing it over you.
Yeah, well, I feel worse for the guy that took Najee in the top 10. I told you. What did I tell you at the draft?
Well, he looked.
What did I tell you at the draft?
You did, but he looked good last year.
Yeah, okay, sure.
You know,
volume is deceiving.
But in fantasy, that's what you look for, volume.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I didn't take him. I wouldn't have taken him in the first or the last round.
All right.
I'm taking Najee Harris.
But yeah, Prize Picks is an excellent way to easily make money by doing what you love, which is watching sports. So
that's right. Gotta make my
yeah.
money back. Oh, DK you lost, huh?
DK was hurting.
That's all right, dude. You'll get it back. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com or download the app and use the promo code 410, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. So go check it out. Prize Picks. Glenn, I had a fun time tonight.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm looking forward to Thursday. Make sure you guys are here. Make sure you're ready to go because we're going to have that visitor during the live session. So if you have any burning questions and like to submit a super chat, we'll certainly make sure we ask Mike and get his expert opinion. But that's it for us tonight. Shout out to Sean Pisker. Shout out to Don C, Tanja Bowman, Little Vonnie. What's going on, Living Legend? Appreciate you coming out. Raven Ron, Nick D, Lisa Ann, Renal.
You guys talking football was in here tonight.
Oh, nice. All right. I appreciate that. Dave Cutsale, what's going on, bud? It's been a while. Let's see. Who else is in here? Nick
we didn't do the winner.
Stackhouse. Oh, crap. We almost forgot our winner.
DK, you don't happen to know who the winner is, do you?
Yes, he does.
Dude,
yes, he does.
How did I ever doubt freaking DK?
And DK made it clear this was a competition that had to come down to closest to the pin. This was an absolute battle this week in our fan competition. So DK, if you have the winner, let us know. Tev Dog is the winner. Submitted he did his submissions on YouTube comments. Shout out to Tev Dog. So make sure you reach out to us, send us a private message. That way we can get you your swag. Black Daniels, appreciate you coming out. Stackhouse, appreciate you coming out. D Nice. Everybody, thanks for coming. Let's see. Who was it? I just saw J-Dub 45. Had to give him a shout. He's always here with us. That's it for us tonight. But we will see y'all soon.